My ex was a serial cheater. Caught him multiple times, but I was so convinced if I loved him hard enough, he'd change. That's how the story starts. Cringe, right? Even saying it out loud makes me want to slap my past self. But back then, it didn't feel pathetic, it felt like hope. I met Ethan 3 years ago at a mutual friend's party. He had that easy charm that wrapped around you before you even realized it. His smile was the kind that said you're safe with me, while his eyes whispered, but maybe you shouldn't be. I don't usually talk to strangers, I'd told him that night, clutching my drink. He grinned, leaning in. Then I guess we're not strangers anymore, are we? And that was it. I laughed, stupidly flattered, already halfway gone. He texted me the next morning. Then every morning after that. Good morning, beautiful. You make my day better. Simple things. I told myself, this feels right. This feels real. Looking back now, I see all the signs. The late replies, the sudden mood swings, the "I just need space" followed by "Why don't you trust me?" But love makes you blind, and I was practically begging to be blinded. One night, I told him, I don't want a game, Ethan. I want something real. He brushed my hair back and said, you think I'd waste my time if this wasn't real? And I believed him. Every time. My friends didn't. Sophia told me, he's too smooth, Hamza. Guys like that don't change. They just get better at lying. I'd roll my eyes and say, you don't know him like I do. He's been through a lot. Yeah, she said dryly, and apparently so have all his exes. I laughed it off, pretending her words didn't sting. But later that night, when Ethan didn't answer my calls, those doubts crept in like poison under my skin. When he finally texted back hours later, it was, sorry, babe, fell asleep. Fell asleep? I asked when he showed up the next morning. Yeah. I was exhausted. Long day. I stared at him. His hair was damp from a shower, his eyes slightly bloodshot. At 7 p.m.? Are you really doing this? He snapped, slamming his keys on the counter. You don't trust me at all. I just asked a question. Yeah, and you're accusing me like I'm some criminal. He turned it around so fast I almost believed I was the problem. And when he finally softened and hugged me, whispering, I hate fighting with you, my heart melted all over again. That was our cycle. Fight, cry, make up, repeat. The first time I caught him cheating, I didn't even need proof, I felt it. Something about the way he pulled away when I reached for his phone, or how he started showering before bed every night when he never used to. Then one night, his phone lit up on the counter while he was in the bathroom. Last night was amazing, face blowing a kiss. My stomach twisted so hard I couldn't breathe. When he came out, I just held up the phone. Who's Ava? I asked quietly. His face didn't even flinch. A friend. She sent you a kiss emoji. People use emojis, babe. Relax. Last night was amazing. He froze, then smirked. You're reading too much into it. Ethan, she literally. God, you're unbelievable, he shouted, grabbing the phone from my hand. You go through my stuff like I'm some criminal. Do you even love me? That one line gutted me. I remember whispering, of course I do. He sighed dramatically, then said, then trust me. And like an idiot, I did. Weeks later, we were out with friends when Ava showed up. I didn't even know she'd be there. She hugged him, too long, too close. He tensed, but didn't push her away. I smiled tightly, pretending not to notice. I didn't want to be that girlfriend. But when she leaned in and whispered something that made him blush, I excused myself, locked myself in the bathroom, and cried silently over the sink. When I came out, Ethan followed. Hey, he said softly, don't ruin the night, okay? Ruin it? Are you serious right now? She's just a friend. She called you baby. He laughed. She calls everyone that. I stared at him. You must think I'm an idiot. He didn't even argue. He just pulled me into his arms and kissed my forehead. I love you, okay? You're the only one that matters. And somehow, that was enough to quiet the storm in my chest. for a while. But love, real or not, doesn't erase pain. It buries it until it rots. By year 2, I was exhausted from defending him, to my friends, my family, even myself. Every time he cheated, he'd cry, promise to change, buy flowers, cook dinner, act like a saint for 2 weeks, and then disappear again. Once, after another fight, I told him, I can't do this anymore. He laughed. Yeah, you can. You always say that. That line broke me. Because he was right. I always said it, but I never left. One night, lying in bed beside him, I stared at the ceiling and whispered, "Why do I keep forgiving you?" He didn't even look up from his phone. "Because you love me." "No," I said quietly. "Because I'm scared of what happens if I stop." He sighed and turned off the light. "You think too much." That was Ethan. Always calm, always confident, always one step ahead in the game of guilt and control. There were good moments too, and that's what made it worse. The nights he held me after a bad day, the mornings he made coffee and kissed my forehead. The fake peace between storms. I held on to those scraps like proof that he could be good, that maybe all he needed was someone who wouldn't give up on him. I remember telling Sophia once, "He just needs love." She gave me a look that could cut glass. "No, he needs therapy. You're not his rehab." I laughed then, but later, her words echoed in my head. "You're not his rehab." One evening, I found myself in front of the mirror, just staring. My eyes looked tired, older. My smile looked forced. I barely recognized the woman looking back. "Who even are you anymore?" I whispered to myself. Ethan walked in and caught me talking to my reflection. "You okay?" I nodded quickly. "Yeah, just tired." He kissed my cheek. "You worry too much, baby. We're fine." But as he walked out, I realized we weren't fine. I wasn't fine. I'd been slowly disappearing in the name of love. And still, I stayed. Sometimes, I'd think about leaving, even pack a bag once, but he'd always show up, saying the right thing at the right time. "Don't throw us away over rumors. Remember how we started? Don't you still love me?" And I'd cave. Every single time. Because the thought of losing him felt like losing the only version of love I knew. I thought if I just held on long enough, if I just loved him harder, maybe he'd finally see me. Maybe he'd finally stop hurting me. But love isn't supposed to hurt. It took me a long time to understand that. Back then, I was blind, and love was the hand covering my eyes. I used to think change came slowly, like healing. But with Ethan, it came like a switch. One day he was warm and attentive, the next, distant and distracted. At first, I thought it was work stress. "You've been quiet lately," I said one night, sliding onto the couch beside him. He didn't look up from his phone. "Just tired." "Don't start reading into things again." "I'm not reading into anything," I said softly. You just what? Want to start another fight?" His tone sliced through the air. I froze. "No, Ethan. I just wanted to talk." He sighed, finally setting the phone down. "You always want to talk. Can't we just enjoy a quiet night for once?" That was the beginning, the way he made me doubt myself. I told myself it wasn't a big deal. But the messages he kept hiding, the late nights, the perfume smell that didn't belong to me, all of it started whispering louder than my denial. One Friday, he came home past midnight, shirt half-buttoned and hair smelling like vanilla. "Not my perfume." "Where were you?" I asked. He dropped his keys on the table. "Work. Don't start." "At midnight?" He turned toward me, jaw tight. "Do you hear yourself? You sound insane. You don't trust me at all." I laughed, though it cracked in the middle. "Maybe because you give me reasons not to." "Like what?" He stepped closer, his voice rising. "Go on, tell me." "The perfume, Ethan. The lipstick on your shirt last week." "That wasn't lipstick." "God, you twist everything." "Then explain it." I shouted. "Explain what?" "You're paranoid." You always think the worst of me. I stared at him, searching for something human behind his eyes. I just want the truth. The truth? He scoffed. The truth is you're impossible to please. You keep pushing until I can't breathe. His words hit like punches I couldn't block. I stood there, trembling, wanting him to say I'm sorry, but he didn't. He walked away, slamming the bedroom door. That night, I sat alone on the couch until dawn, the clock ticking louder than my heartbeat. I told myself he was just angry, that everyone makes mistakes. Love meant forgiving, didn't it? The next morning, he came out with messy hair and tired eyes. "Hey," he said softly. "Hey." "About last night," he murmured, rubbing the back of his neck. I overreacted. "So did I." He stepped closer. "I hate fighting with you. You know I love you, right?" Those words, "You know I love you," they always broke me open. I nodded. "I know." He kissed my forehead, and for a second, the ache eased. I convinced myself we were okay again. But the cycle never stopped. Each week brought another lie wrapped in an apology. One night, while he was in the shower, his phone buzzed. Normally, I never looked. But something in me cracked open that night. The message preview read: "Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you." My throat went dry. My hands trembled as I scrolled up. The messages were full of heart emojis and secrets that didn't belong to me. When he came out, towel draped over his shoulder, I was still holding the phone. "What's this?" I asked. His eyes narrowed. "Why are you going through my phone? Answer the question, Ethan." "You're unbelievable," he snapped. "You invade my privacy and then demand explanations? Don't twist this around. Who is she?" "She's no one. A friend. Friends don't send that kind of message." He grabbed the phone, slamming it on the counter. "You're crazy, you know that? You make things up in your head and then act like it's real." Tears stung my eyes. "Then why do I keep finding proof?" "Proof?" He laughed bitterly. "You're obsessed. You'll destroy this relationship because you can't control your jealousy." I wanted to scream that he was lying, that I wasn't blind. But he always knew how to flip the script, how to make me question my own reality. That night, he slept on the couch. I lay awake, my heart pounding against my ribs. I thought about leaving. I even packed a small bag once. But then he cried, really cried, the next morning. "I can't lose you," he whispered, clutching my hand. "I messed up. I swear I'll do better." And just like that, I forgave him again. Every apology felt like a drug, numbing me just enough to stay. Every "I love you" sounded like a promise I wanted to believe. But the highs never lasted. He started disappearing for entire weekends, claiming work trips. He'd return with a new excuse and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. One night, I confronted him again. "Ethan, tell me the truth. Are you seeing someone else?" He looked at me for a long time before answering. "Why do you always assume the worst?" "Because I can't ignore it anymore." He shook his head. "You're exhausting. Maybe if you weren't so clingy, I wouldn't feel the need to get away sometimes." The words cut deeper than any betrayal. "Get away from me?" "I didn't mean it like that," he said quickly, but the damage was already done. I turned away, biting my lip to stop the sob that wanted to escape. "You always say that." He reached out to touch my shoulder. "Come on, baby, don't cry. You know I love you." His voice softened, and I wanted to believe him again. But that night, when he fell asleep beside me, I cried silently into the pillow. The next morning, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. My eyes were swollen, my smile hollow. I whispered, "I just need to love him more." I kept saying it like a prayer, as if love could undo deceit. Later that evening, when he stormed out after another fight, I sank to the bathroom floor. The tiles were cold against my skin. The shower ran, drowning out my sobs. Water poured over me, mixing with tears I couldn't stop. I hugged my knees, whispering, "He'll change. He has to." But even as I said it, something inside me cracked deeper, a quiet voice whispering that love shouldn't hurt like this. Still, I stayed under the water, washing away the evidence of another fight, another lie, another night pretending everything would be fine. When I finally turned off the shower, silence filled the room. My reflection stared back, fragile, hollow, and still waiting. I told myself, tomorrow, he'll come back. Tomorrow, he'll be different. But deep down, I already knew, tomorrow would be just another repeat of today. It started on a Wednesday, the kind of day that feels harmless until it isn't. I was at work, halfway through an email, when the receptionist called. There are 2 women asking for you," she said. "They said it's urgent." I frowned. "Who?" They didn't say. When I stepped into the lobby, 2 women stood there like they owned the place. One was tall, with red lipstick and sharp eyes. The other had a mocking smile, arms folded across her chest. "You're Ethan's girlfriend, right?" the taller one asked. I hesitated. "Yes, who are you?" "Oh, honey," she said, her tone dripping with pity. "You should probably sit down." My heart thudded. "What do you want?" The second woman smirked. "To finally meet the saint who forgives him every time he cheats." My stomach turned. "Excuse me?" "Oh, come on," the tall one said. "You really didn't know? He's been with both of us." Repeatedly. "That's not true." She laughed. "You sound just like I did when he lied to me." "I think you should leave," I said, my voice shaking. "We will," the second woman said. "Just thought you deserved to know. Or maybe you already do, since you keep taking him back." Her words hit harder than a slap. "You're lying." "Ask him yourself," the red-lipped one said. "He calls me Cassie. I'm sure he's mentioned me, just not in ways you'd like." "And I'm Margot," the other added with a smirk. "Tell him I said thanks for last weekend." The receptionist stood frozen nearby, pretending not to hear. My hands trembled as I said, "Get out. Now." They left laughing, heels clicking on the tile like punctuation marks to my humiliation. When I finally sat back at my desk, my vision blurred. I wanted to believe they were lying. I needed to. I texted Ethan. "We need to talk. Now." He replied minutes later. "What's wrong?" "2 women came to my work claiming they slept with you." "What? Who?" "Cassie and Margot." "Oh God. Not again." When he got home that evening, he looked irritated, not guilty. "You actually believe those psychos?" "I don't know what to believe," I said quietly. "They've been obsessed with me for months. I blocked them, and now they're trying to ruin us." "Ethan, they knew my name. They came to my work." He rolled his eyes. "Because they're stalkers. This is what happens when you're too nice to crazy women." I folded my arms. "Are you sure that's all it is?" He stepped closer. "You really think I'd cheat again after everything we've been through?" "I don't know anymore." He sighed dramatically. "You're unbelievable. They show up talking nonsense, and instead of trusting me, you accuse me. Ethan, they said you were with them last weekend." He raised his voice. "I was at my brother's. You can call him if you don't trust me." I already did. That stopped him for a second. "And?" "He said he hadn't seen you." Ethan's face hardened. "Unbelievable. You're spying on me now?" "I'm trying to find the truth." I snapped. "The truth is you're letting strangers control your mind. Is that the kind of girlfriend you want to be?" I stared at him, searching for something genuine, remorse, fear, anything. But his expression stayed calm, practiced, manipulative. "Cassie and Margot," I whispered. "You know them, don't you?" He laughed, that hollow, condescending laugh I'd grown to dread. "They're obsessed exes. They can't move on." "Both of them?" "Yes." "God, you act like I'm some monster." "Maybe you are," I said before I could stop myself. His jaw clenched. "Careful." The warning in his tone made me shrink back. "Why are you so calm?" "Because I'm tired," he said, rubbing his temples. Tired of proving myself to someone who refuses to believe me. I whispered, I just don't know what's real anymore. Then maybe you should take a break, he said. Figure out if you even want this. A break. That word felt like the edge of a cliff. I don't want a break, I said weakly. I want honesty. You already have it, he said coldly. But you're too blinded by paranoia to see. He walked out, slamming the door. I stood there shaking, every breath feeling heavier. His words echoed in my head, you're paranoid. You're blinded. Was I? The next morning, I saw them again, Cassie and Margot, waiting outside our house, leaning against a car like they were on a smoke break between rounds of humiliation. Cassie waved when she saw me. Hey, sweetheart. How's your lying boyfriend? Go away, I said, my voice low. Margot smirked. Oh, come on. You're the one choosing to stay with him. We're just helping you face reality. Stop talking to me. Cassie tilted her head. You really think he loves you? He said you were just comfortable. That you'd never leave, no matter what he did. Shut up. He laughs about it, Margot added. Says it's like training a puppy, all he has to do is say sorry, and you come running. My throat burned. Leave before I call the police. Cassie smirked. Go ahead. But maybe call your boyfriend first, ask where he really was last night. They walked away laughing, their cruelty echoing like glass breaking inside my chest. When Ethan came home, I told him through clenched teeth, they were here. Outside our house. His reaction was instant anger. They're stalking us now? Great. Maybe you can finally see I'm the victim here. Victim? I said bitterly. You created this mess. I didn't invite them here. But you invited them into your life, didn't you? He turned away. I'm done having this conversation. Of course you are, I muttered. You're always done when I get close to the truth. He slammed his hand on the counter. Don't push me. Tears welled in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. You've already pushed me enough. Silence. Only the sound of my breathing, uneven, shallow, desperate. He stormed out again. I stood frozen, watching his taillights disappear into the night. Outside, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the car window, my face pale, eyes empty, mouth trembling. For a second, I didn't recognize myself. Was I really that blind? I whispered. The reflection didn't answer. It just stared back, a woman cracked open by love, standing in the ruins of her own denial. And for the first time, I felt something shift inside me, not anger, not sorrow. Just exhaustion. The kind that comes when the truth finally stops hiding. It began with silence. Not the kind that feels peaceful, the kind that chokes you. One morning, I leaned over to kiss Ethan before he left for work. He turned his face away. Babe? I whispered. What's wrong? He grabbed his keys without looking at me. Nothing. Just tired. I laughed nervously. You're always tired lately. He didn't answer. Just walked out, leaving the door half open. That night, I tried to sit close to him on the couch. He moved to the other end. I stared at him, waiting for a joke, some playful smirk to tell me it was nothing. But his eyes stayed on the TV. Did I do something? I finally asked. No. You sure? Yeah. Then why won't you even look at me? He sighed. You're imagining things. I'm not. You haven't touched me in days. I've got a lot on my mind. About what? Work. Bills. Life. You know, normal stuff. I wanted to believe him, but his tone was empty. The man who once couldn't go an hour without texting me now barely said a word. That night, I reached for his hand in bed. He flinched. Ethan? What? Why are you acting like this? He turned to face the wall. Can we not do this right now? Do what? Talk. Argue. I'm not arguing, I'm trying to understand. He groaned. Maybe that's the problem. You're always trying to understand. Just, let things be. Let things be. The words stung. For the next few days, he avoided me completely. He'd come home, shower, eat, and vanish into the guest room to work. Finally, one night I stood by the door. "Ethan, can we talk for a second?" He didn't look up from his phone. "About what?" "Us." He sighed. "There's nothing to talk about." "Yes, there is. You're distant. You won't touch me. You won't even look at me." He threw his phone aside and rubbed his face. "You're making this weird." "Weird? I'm your girlfriend, Ethan. We used to be close. I just need space." "How much space?" "You're sleeping in another room. That's temporary." "Why? What's going on?" He looked at me then, eyes dull, voice calm. "I drool too much in my sleep. You complain about it. So I'm sparing you." I blinked. "Drool? Yeah. That's your reason?" He shrugged. "It's practical." I laughed, even though nothing was funny. "That's not practical, Ethan. That's ridiculous." He stood up. "I don't want to fight." "Then stop acting like I don't exist." He stared at me for a long second. "Maybe you should move to the guest room for a while. Give us both some air." Something in me broke right there. "You're kicking me out of our bed?" "I'm asking for peace." "Peace from me? Don't twist it." "I'm not twisting anything. I just want to know what happened to us." He didn't answer. He walked past me, brushed my shoulder like I was furniture, and disappeared into the kitchen. The silence that followed was unbearable. Over the next week, I did move to the guest room. Not because I wanted to, but because it was easier than fighting every night. The house felt colder. I could hear him moving around, talking quietly on the phone sometimes, his tone soft, familiar, the way he used to talk to me. One night, I walked into the kitchen and said, "Who were you talking to?" He didn't flinch. "No one. I heard you laugh." "So? I can't laugh now?" "Not like that," I said. "Not like it used to sound when you loved me." He rolled his eyes. "God, you're dramatic." I whispered, "You're cruel." He turned, finally meeting my gaze. "No, I'm honest." "Maybe that's what you can't handle." I swallowed hard. Honest would be telling me the truth. He smirked. "Maybe I already did." Then he walked away again. That night, I sat in the dark guest room, staring at the ceiling. Every creak of the floorboards reminded me of him, or the version of him that used to hold me until I fell asleep. I wanted to scream, but my voice felt trapped behind my ribs. By the fourth night, I started writing in a notebook. I didn't plan it, I just needed to get the noise out of my head. "He doesn't touch me anymore," I wrote. "Not even by accident. It's like I've become invisible." The words looked pathetic on paper, but they were real. At dinner, I tried again. "Do you hate me now?" Ethan didn't look up from his plate. "Don't be dramatic." "Then what is this?" "Silence," he said. "It's better than fighting. Silence feels like dying." He shrugged. "Then maybe you're too emotional for me." The calmness in his voice scared me more than anger ever did. After he went to bed, alone, I stood outside his door listening. He wasn't asleep. I could hear faint music playing. Some love song he used to dedicate to me. I knocked softly. "Ethan?" No answer. "Can I come in?" Silence. I opened the door an inch. He was lying there, eyes closed, headphones in. He saw me, but he didn't move. I whispered, "I miss you." He turned his head away. I closed the door before the tears fell. Back in the guest room, I opened my notebook again. My handwriting shook. I don't recognize him anymore. I keep wondering if this is punishment for loving him too much. Or maybe this is what happens when love runs out and you're the only one still holding it together. I stared at those words for a long time. The house was silent, except for the faint hum of the air conditioner, the occasional sound of his footsteps above me, and the echo of my own thoughts whispering what I already knew. I don't know who he is anymore. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to. The knocking was so loud it felt like the door might splinter. My heart jumped. Nobody ever visited this early. I wiped my face, still puffy from another sleepless night, and called out, "Just a second." When I opened the door, Sophie stood there, shaking, pale, clutching her phone like it was keeping her alive. "Sophie? What's going on?" I asked, stepping aside. She didn't move. Her eyes darted past me like she expected someone else to appear. "Is Ethan here?" "No, he left for work hours ago." My stomach twisted. "Why? What's wrong?" She exhaled sharply, like she'd been holding her breath all morning. "Can we talk? Please?" "Of course," I said, forcing a smile, even though her trembling scared me. We sat on the porch steps, the morning light washing over her pale face. For a long moment, she didn't say a word. Just tapped her nails against her phone screen, biting her lip. "You look terrified," I said softly. "Did something happen?" She looked up at me then, eyes glassy, desperate. "How have you been handling everything?" I frowned. "Everything? What do you mean?" Her throat moved as she swallowed. "With Ethan. And, the girls." My heart stuttered. "What girls?" Her silence hit me like a slap. The porch felt smaller, the air heavier. I laughed nervously. "You're scaring me, Sophie." "What are you talking about?" She shook her head, whispering, "Oh my God." Then louder, "You don't know." "Know what?" Her fingers fumbled across her phone. She dialed someone, muttering, "He said he'd tell her. He promised." I grabbed her wrist. "Tell me what?" She looked at me like she couldn't bear to say it. "You've been with him, right? Like, physically?" The question made my skin crawl. "He's my husband, Sophie." "Of course I have." Her hand shot to her mouth. "Oh, God. Oh, God." I froze. "What's going on?" Tears spilled down her cheeks. "You need to get tested." My heart thudded painfully. Tested for what? Her phone rang, a man's voice on speaker, shouting, "Sophie, get away from there. Don't say anything else." She ignored him, clutching my hand. "You deserve to know. Ethan's been seeing a lot of people. Not just me, not just them, more. He's been lying to everyone." The world tilted. "Seeing you?" She nodded weakly. "It wasn't supposed to happen. He told me you two were separated. He said you were crazy, that you'd moved out." My breath caught. "You slept with him?" Her tears turned into sobs. "I didn't know, I swear. But now, he's been sick. He got tested. And, so did someone else." I gripped her arm. "What kind of sick?" She couldn't even look at me. "You need to go to a clinic, okay? Immediately." My mind blanked. The sound around me disappeared, the birds, the passing cars, even the wind. All I could hear was my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I whispered, "Are you saying, he gave me something?" She nodded, trembling. "I don't know for sure. But it's bad, and it's spreading. Please, just promise me you'll go today." My voice cracked. "Sophie, what is it? What exactly?" The phone on her lap buzzed again. She answered. "He knows," she whispered to the caller. "She doesn't deserve this." Then she hung up and stared at me like she was staring at a ghost. I stood abruptly. "No. You're not leaving me like this. Tell me what he did." She sobbed harder, clutching her head. "He told us all the same thing. That he loved us, that we were the only one. And now, people are getting calls from the clinic. Positive results." I took a step back, my knees weak. "Positive for what?" Her lips quivered. "For HIV." The word didn't even sound real. It echoed, hollow and sharp. "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "No. That's not, he wouldn't." Sophie reached for me, but I pulled away. He couldn't do that. He loves me. She broke into a sob. He said the same thing to me. The world blurred. My breath came in ragged bursts. Get out, I whispered. Please listen. I said get out. She flinched but didn't move right away. I didn't come here to hurt you. I just thought you should know before it's too late. Too late? I echoed, barely recognizing my voice. She nodded, wiping her tears. You need to act fast. Promise me you'll go today. Promise. I just stared at her, numb. My mouth felt dry, my skin cold. Does he know you told me? Her silence said everything. I laughed, a broken, bitter sound. Of course he doesn't. He probably told you to keep it quiet. She stood, guilt weighing her shoulders. I'm sorry. I really am. The screen door slammed behind me as I walked inside, her voice calling after me, please, go to the clinic. But I couldn't hear any more. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. I called Ethan. Straight to voicemail. Again. Again. Pick up. I screamed. Finally, he answered, sounding groggy. What's wrong? You tell me, I spat. What the hell did you do? He sighed. God, not this again. What are you talking about? Sophie just came here. I shouted. She said people are getting tested. That you've been sleeping around. He paused, too long. Then, you need to calm down. Calm down? You could have killed me, Ethan. You're overreacting. Sophie's insane, you know that. She's been obsessed with me for months. She was crying. She looked terrified. She's manipulative. Don't believe her. Then tell me it's not true. He hesitated. You're acting crazy again. My chest caved in. You can't even deny it? He hung up. The silence after that was louder than his voice. I stood there, staring at the blank phone screen, shaking. When I finally moved, I went to the bathroom, turned on the tap, and splashed water on my face. My reflection stared back at me, hollow eyes, trembling lips. I don't know who you are anymore, I whispered. The diary on my nightstand was still open from last night. I grabbed a pen and wrote. He's not human. He's a storm. And I let him ruin everything. Then, underneath, in shaky letters. Sophie said I need to get tested. All of us do. And that's when the knock came again. Soft this time. Reluctant. I didn't answer. I just sat there, gripping the pen like a weapon, staring at the door, terrified of what I'd hear next. Sophie's hands shook so badly I thought her phone would fall from them. She wouldn't look at me, just kept staring at the porch floor like it could swallow her whole. I whispered, say it. Just say it, Sophie. She finally looked up, her eyes bloodshot. You don't understand what's been happening. Ethan, all of them, it's not just cheating. My heart pounded. Then what is it? Her voice cracked. They've been using. All of them. Not just sex, drugs, needles, pipes, everything. Sharing everything. Even partners. I felt the world tilt sideways. No. It's true. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Cassie. Margot. The others you saw. They're part of it. Parties, hotels, back rooms. Nobody's safe there. My mouth went dry. What kind of drugs? Everything. Pills, heroin, coke. They pass it all around. And they pass each other around too. I almost laughed, but it came out like a choke. You're lying. I wish I was, she whispered. Some of them already got sick. My knees buckled, and I sat hard on the step. Sick how? She swallowed. Hepatitis. Some tested positive last week. That's why I came here. I couldn't keep quiet anymore. The word hepatitis felt like a hammer cracking through my skull. No. Ethan wouldn't. He's been hiding it from you, she said softly. That's why he's been cold. That's why he won't touch you. He knows. I stared at her, shaking my head. He knows what? That he could give it to you, she said. He's terrified, but he won't stop. He can't. I felt my stomach twist, bile rising in my throat. I wanted to tear my skin off, I muttered. Just to stop feeling his touch on me. She flinched. I'm so sorry. I stood, pacing the porch. All those nights. All those apologies. He'd hold me, swear he loved me, swear he'd change. I know, she said. He told me the same things. I spun on her. And you believed him? Her voice cracked. I was addicted to him, too. The porch swayed. My chest felt like it was being crushed. Get out, I whispered. Please don't hate me. I said get out. She stood, tears streaking her cheeks. Please go to the clinic today. Please. Her footsteps faded, and the door closed. The silence inside the house was unbearable. I grabbed my phone and dialed Ethan. Straight to voicemail. Again. Again. When he finally picked up, his voice was calm, too calm. What now? You're a monster, I said, my voice shaking. He sighed. I'm at work. I don't have time for your drama. You've been using drugs with them? Sharing needles? Sharing them? A pause. Who told you that? It's true then? You need to stop listening to jealous exes. She said hepatitis, Ethan. I shouted. She said you're hiding it from me. Another pause. You're being paranoid again. Then come home and prove it, I demanded. I'm busy. Something inside me snapped. You could have killed me. You're hysterical, he said coldly. Call me when you calm down. The line went dead. I dropped the phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely pick it up again. My skin crawled. My chest hurt. My brain replayed every night, every lie, every apology. I stumbled to the bathroom, splashed water on my face. My reflection looked like a stranger. Pale, hollow-eyed, lips trembling. I don't know who you are anymore, I whispered to my reflection. The diary on my nightstand was still open from last night. I grabbed a pen and wrote. He's poison. I let him inside me. I don't know what's mine anymore. Underneath, in shaky letters. I wanted to tear my skin off just to stop feeling his touch. My breath came fast. The walls felt like they were closing in. I needed air. I ran barefoot out of the house. The sky was already darkening even though it was still afternoon. Heavy clouds rolled above. I didn't care where I was going. I just ran. My feet slapped the pavement, sharp pebbles cutting my skin. I loved him, I gasped to nobody. I loved him so much. The first drops of rain hit my skin, cold and heavy. It soaked my shirt, my hair plastering to my face. I kept running. Past the mailboxes. Past the old oak tree. Past the point where my lungs screamed. I couldn't stop seeing his face. His lies. His hands on me. His mouth whispering, I'll do better. I stumbled, catching myself on a stop sign. The rain poured harder now, washing over me like it could scrub him out of my pores. Cars hissed by on the wet road. Someone honked. I didn't look. I just kept running, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. The clinic sign appeared through the curtain of rain like a lighthouse. Urgent care. Neon red. I pushed through the door, dripping and shaking. A nurse looked up, startled. Are you okay? I clutched the counter, gasping. I need to get tested. For what? She asked gently. Everything, I whispered. Test me for everything. Her face softened. Come with me. She led me to a small room. My wet clothes clung to me like a second skin. My teeth chattered. Do you know what you've been exposed to? She asked. Tears blurred my vision. I don't even know who I am anymore. She handed me a tissue. You're here now. That's what matters. I wanted to say something but couldn't. My throat ached from holding back sobs. I stared at the white walls, the antiseptic smell, the needle trays. I thought about Ethan. About the women. About Sophie's face when she said, hepatitis. My hands clenched into fists. My nails dug into my palms. I hate him, I whispered. I hate him so much. But under the hate was something heavier. Grief. Grief for the girl I'd been before Ethan. Grief for the life I thought I'd built. Rain hammered against the clinic window. It sounded like applause, like laughter, like the universe itself mocking me. I closed my eyes, pressing my palms to my temples. Breathe, I told myself. Just breathe. But all I could see was his smile. All I could hear was his voice saying, "You're crazy. You make things up." The nurse returned with forms. "Fill these out. We'll get you seen quickly." My hands trembled so hard I could barely hold the pen. Name. Date of birth. Address. Under reason for visit, I wrote. Exposure. Then, smaller. Betrayal. I put the pen down and stared at the paper. Rain streaked down the window. My tears streaked down my cheeks. "I'll never go back," I whispered. And for the first time, I almost believed it. The nurse called my name softly. "You can come in now." My legs felt like they belonged to someone else as I followed her into the small consultation room. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. She smiled gently. "The doctor will go over your results in a moment." I nodded, gripping the edge of the chair. My palms were sweaty. My throat felt raw from crying. When the doctor walked in, I braced myself. His expression was calm, professional, unreadable. "You're negative for everything," he said simply. For a second, I didn't move. "What?" "Your blood work is clean. No hepatitis. No infections. Nothing." The air rushed out of me. I covered my face with my hands and sobbed. The doctor handed me tissues. "You're okay. You're safe. Safe." The word echoed in my mind like a cruel joke. I was safe, but I didn't feel safe. "Thank you," I whispered. "Thank you so much." He gave a small nod. "You'll need follow-up testing in a few months, but for now, you're in the clear." When I walked out of the clinic, the rain had stopped. The air smelled like wet pavement and relief. I stood there for a long time, breathing, but something inside me still felt heavy. I should have felt grateful. Instead, I felt filthy, like survival came with guilt. My phone buzzed. "Ethan, please, just talk to me." "Ethan, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for things to get so bad." "Ethan, I love you." I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. Then I called him. The moment he answered, I said, "Stop texting me." His voice was hoarse. "I just need to explain." "Explain what?" I snapped. "That you were too busy getting high and screwing everyone to remember I existed?" He sighed. "You don't understand how bad things got. I messed up, okay? But I never meant to hurt you. You could have killed me. I kept my distance to protect you." "Protect me?" I laughed bitterly. "You lied, cheated, and hid like a coward. That's not protection." "I was scared," he said quietly. "I didn't know how to tell you." "So you thought silence would fix it?" "I didn't know what else to do," he whispered. "You were the only thing good in my life." I clenched the phone tighter. "Don't you dare make this about love. You broke me." He didn't answer. I could hear him breathing. I closed my eyes. "I got tested. I'm clean." He let out a shaky breath. "Thank God." "Don't thank God," I said coldly. "You don't get to feel relief." "Please," he begged. "I'll get help. I'll go to rehab. Just, don't leave me like this." "I already did," I whispered, and hung up. I stood there, staring at the black screen, feeling nothing. No satisfaction. No revenge. Just emptiness. When I got home, the house felt different, hollow. Like it wasn't mine anymore. His scent still lingered on the couch. His jacket still hung by the door. I walked straight to the bedroom and opened the drawer where I kept everything: our photos, the love letters, ticket stubs from concerts, a seashell from the beach where he first said, "I love you." I spread them out on the bed. My fingers trembled as I picked up a picture of us laughing in the sunlight. My smile looked so real. His hand on my waist looked so sure. I whispered to the girl in the picture, "You had no idea." Then I threw it into a trash bag. One by one, every letter, every memory, every token of our love followed. When I reached the seashell, I paused. "You told me to keep it," I said softly. Said it meant forever. I clenched it in my palm until the edge dug into my skin. Forever's over. I threw it in too. The sound of it hitting the bag made me flinch. My phone buzzed again. Ethan. I didn't look. I dragged the trash bag outside, barefoot, and dropped it into the bin. The night air was cold, but it felt cleaner than the house ever had. Back inside, I poured myself a glass of water, my hands shaking. I stared at my reflection in the kitchen window. My eyes were swollen, red, but steady. "You survived," I told myself quietly. "You survived him." But surviving didn't feel like victory, it felt like loss. I sat on the floor, back against the fridge, and whispered, "I want to hate you so much it burns." But I couldn't. Not fully. Love doesn't turn off like a switch. It lingers, stubborn and toxic. I grabbed my diary again and wrote. Clean results. Dirty heart. I'm still infected, not with disease, but with memory. Tears blurred the words. Part of me wanted to destroy him. To tell everyone what he'd done. To make him suffer. But another part of me just wanted peace, silence, distance, healing. Revenge felt heavy. Peace felt far away. My phone buzzed again. "Ethan, you're all I have left. Please don't leave me like this." I turned the phone over so I wouldn't see his name. "I already did," I whispered again. I stood, went to the window, and opened it. Cool air rushed in, brushing against my damp hair. The moonlight made everything look softer, almost kind. For the first time, I didn't cry. I just breathed. Deeply. Slowly. Maybe healing didn't mean forgetting him. Maybe it meant remembering without breaking. I pressed my hand against my chest. My heart still beat, steady and stubborn. "Clean results," I murmured. "But I'll have to wash my heart myself." The wind rustled the curtains, carrying away the last faint smell of him. I didn't know where to go from here. But I knew one thing, I wasn't waiting for his apology anymore. I was done begging for love that only hurt me. I turned off my phone, crawled into bed, and whispered to the dark, "Tomorrow, I start over." The silence that followed didn't feel empty. For once, it felt like peace. It started with a message I didn't expect. "Did you hear about Cassie?" Sophie's text blinked on my phone one quiet morning. I typed, "What about her?" Her reply came within seconds. "She overdosed last night. They said she didn't make it." I stared at the screen, my fingers frozen. "Cassie," I whispered, the name tasting like old smoke. The girl who had laughed too loudly at Ethan's parties, who once looked at me like I was invisible. I called Sophie. "Are you sure?" Her voice trembled. "Yes. It's everywhere. Liam got picked up by the police, drugs, possession, something worse. Noah checked into rehab yesterday. It's like everything's falling apart." "Everything always does," I murmured. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. I almost laughed. I don't even know what that word means anymore. There was silence, heavy and uneasy. "Ethan's next," she said finally. "He lost his job last week. No one wants to work with him." I leaned against the counter, watching the sunlight crawl across the kitchen floor. "Karma doesn't need me," I said quietly. "It's doing just fine on its own." Sophie exhaled shakily. "I just thought you should know." "Thanks," I said, and ended the call. Days passed. Then weeks. And every few days, someone whispered another piece of Ethan's downfall. He was selling his car. He got evicted. His friends stopped answering his calls. I didn't feel joy. Not exactly. Just balance. Like the world had found its rhythm again without me forcing it. Then one evening, my phone rang. The name flashed across the screen, Ethan. I stared at it for a full minute before answering. What do you want? I said flatly. Please don't hang up, he begged. His voice cracked. I need to talk to you. Talk? I repeated. After months of silence, now you want to talk. I messed up, okay? I lost everything. I need to see you. Just once. You should be talking to a priest, not me. He sniffed, almost laughing through the pain. Maybe. But I don't want forgiveness. I don't know who else to call. I hesitated, heart pounding. Where are you? At the old park, he said. The one we used to walk through at night. Please, just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I went. Not because I wanted to see him, but because some endings need to be witnessed. The park was quiet when I arrived. The lamps buzzed weakly, casting long shadows over the benches. Ethan sat hunched over, head in his hands. When he looked up, I barely recognized him. His face was thinner, his eyes red, his shirt wrinkled like he'd slept in it for days. You look awful, I said before I could stop myself. I feel worse, he muttered. You probably heard about everything. I did. He nodded slowly. I guess I had it coming. You did. He looked at me then, really looked. You hate me, don't you? I don't know if I even have the energy to hate you anymore. He flinched. I deserve that. You deserve more than that, I said softly. But life's already handling that part. He laughed bitterly. Cassie's dead. Liam's locked up. Noah's in rehab. Everyone's gone. And I keep thinking, maybe this is punishment. It's not punishment, I said. It's consequence. He pressed his palms together. I didn't mean to hurt you. Yes, you did, I cut in. You may not have planned it, but you knew what you were doing. You lied, you hid, and you watched me unravel while pretending to protect me. He swallowed hard. I thought if I stayed away, I could spare you. By treating me like a stranger? I didn't know how else to. Stop. I raised my hand. You had choices. You always had choices. He stared at me, eyes glistening. And now? Now you live with them, I said. The silence between us was heavy. The kind of silence that feels final. After a while, he said, I miss you. Don't, I replied. You miss who I was when I still loved you. That version of me doesn't exist anymore. He looked down. You're right. She was too good for me. She was, I agreed. And you made sure she knew it too late. He gave a hollow laugh. You sound stronger. I am. Pain has a strange way of teaching strength. He ran his hands through his hair. I just wanted to say sorry. I don't need your apology. Then why did you come? I thought about it, really thought. Then I said, to see if you were still pretending. Turns out, you finally look like the truth. He blinked rapidly, like the word stung. The truth? That you destroyed yourself, I said. I just stopped helping. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The night wind moved through the trees, whispering like it understood everything we couldn't say. He stood slowly. So that's it? That's it. He nodded. Then. I guess goodbye. Goodbye, Ethan. He walked away, shoulders slumped, disappearing into the shadows he created. I stayed for a long time after he left. The bench beneath me felt cold, but my chest felt strangely light. It wasn't victory. It wasn't revenge. It was peace, the quiet kind that comes when you finally stop trying to fix what's already burning. When I got home, I sat by the window, watching the city lights blink in the distance. My reflection stared back, the same face, but a different soul. My phone buzzed again. Ethan's name lit up one last time. I watched it ring until it stopped. Then I whispered, almost to myself, "Karma's done enough. I don't need to answer anymore." And for the first time in months, I felt truly clean, not because the pain was gone, but because it no longer owned me. The first time I walked into Dr. Patel's office, I almost turned back. The smell of lavender, the soft ticking clock, the sound of my heartbeat echoing louder than both. She smiled gently. "You must be Mia." "I almost didn't come," I admitted, sitting stiffly on the couch. "That's usually how the brave ones start," she said. "Tell me what brought you here." "Everything," I said. "And nothing. I just don't feel like a person anymore." She nodded, pen resting against her notebook. "Then let's start there. When did you stop feeling like one?" I laughed bitterly. "Sometime between loving someone too much and realizing he didn't love me back the same way." "Do you still think about him?" "Every day," I said. "But not because I want him. It's more like my brain replays the pain, over and over, like a punishment." She leaned forward slightly. "That's not punishment, Mia. That's processing." I frowned. "Processing feels like drowning." "Sometimes healing looks like that at first," she said softly. "But you're here, and that means you're already swimming." Something cracked in me at that. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. Weeks passed. Therapy became my Tuesday ritual, the only thing that kept me anchored. One afternoon, Dr. Patel asked, "What would your life look like if it wasn't built around pain?" I hesitated. "I don't even know who I am without it." "Then maybe it's time to find out," she said with a small smile. That night, I went home and looked around my apartment. The walls were still the dull beige Ethan picked when we moved in together years ago. I hated that color, it looked like silence. I went to the hardware store the next morning and bought paint, something warm, something alive. Sunset Coral, the label read. When I opened the first can, the scent hit me, sharp and new. I dipped the roller, pressed it to the wall, and watched the color spread like sunrise. For every stroke, I whispered something to myself. This is mine. This space is mine. This life is mine. By the time I finished, paint streaked my arms, my hair, my cheeks, and for the first time, I didn't care how messy healing looked. During my next session, Dr. Patel asked, "You seem lighter today. What changed?" "I painted my walls," I said with a grin. "It's silly, but it felt freeing." She shook her head. "Not silly at all. Sometimes transformation starts with something simple, a color, a choice." I smiled. "Then I guess I'm transforming one wall at a time." She chuckled. "How about inside those walls? How are you treating yourself in there?" I sighed. "I'm trying to be kinder." I stopped rereading my old diary entries. I even burned a few pages. "Burning them sounds symbolic," she said. It was. I watched the paper curl, and for a second, it felt like the fire was eating the parts of me that begged for his attention. Dr. Patel nodded slowly. "Letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about not letting what happened define what comes next." I leaned back, letting her words sink in. I think I'm finally starting to believe that. A few days later, Sophie called. "I drove by Ethan's old place," she said. "It's empty now. He's gone." "Gone where?" "No idea. Maybe moved, maybe hiding. I just thought you'd want to know." "I don't," I said simply. She paused. "Really?" "Yeah. For once, I don't need to know." "You sound good, Mia." "I'm getting there." After I hung up, I opened my journal, not the old one, but a new one. The first page read, "Who am I becoming?" I stared at the blank lines for a long time before writing. "I'm learning how to exist without apologizing for surviving." The words looked fragile, like they could break if I stared too long. But they didn't. They stayed. In my next session, Dr. Patel smiled as I walked in. "You look peaceful." "I think I am," I said. "It's strange. I used to want revenge. I used to picture him suffering. But now, I don't care anymore. That's not indifference, she said. That's healing. Feels weird, I admitted. Like losing something I thought I needed to survive. What did you lose? The version of me who believed pain was proof of love. She smiled knowingly. And what have you gained? I thought for a moment. Myself. Or at least, the beginning of her. That's beautiful, she said. You're finally choosing you. I think for the first time ever, yeah, I said softly. The next weekend, I invited Sophie over. We ordered takeout, drank tea, and sat on the floor surrounded by half-burned candles. She looked around my repainted living room. This place feels different. It is, I said. Every corner reminds me of something I fixed. She smiled. You've changed. I had to. Staying broken was killing me. Do you ever think you'll fall in love again? She asked carefully. I looked out the window. Maybe. But this time, I'll make sure it doesn't cost me myself. Sophie nodded. That's a good answer. I laughed softly. It's the only one I've got. When she left, I sat by the window, watching the evening light dance across the coral walls. My phone buzzed once, a random number, probably him. I didn't even check. I just turned it over, face down. Outside, rain began to fall. For a second, I remembered that night, me running barefoot, crying, desperate. Now, I just watched the raindrops slide down the glass. Peaceful. Slow. Almost cleansing. I whispered, you don't win by hurting them back. You win by healing yourself. Somewhere deep inside, the part of me that once screamed finally went quiet. I looked at my reflection in the window, my tired eyes, my faint smile. I like who I'm becoming, I said to no one. And for the first time, I meant it. I sat at my small desk, a cup of tea steaming beside me, and opened a fresh notebook. The page was blank, but I already knew who it was for. Dear Mia, I wrote slowly, my hand trembling at first, I know you're scared. I know you think love means saving someone, even when they don't want to be saved. I paused, thinking of the nights I cried over Ethan, begging my heart to forgive him. You think loyalty will fix him, heal him, make him choose you over chaos. But it won't. Not now, not ever. I put the pen down for a moment, staring out the window. The city lights blinked, steady and unbothered. Remember how you ran barefoot in the rain, how every step felt like it was tearing you apart. That was your courage. Not his betrayal. Your courage. I picked the pen up again. You will survive this. And one day, you'll see that surviving is stronger than revenge, cleaner than holding on, and sweeter than any illusion of love that hurts you more than it heals. The memory of Sophie's words echoed in my mind, sometimes healing looks like drowning. I chuckled softly. You almost drowned. But look at you now. You're learning to swim, Mia. And not just in the shallow end, but in the deep waters, where you can finally breathe on your own. I closed my eyes and whispered aloud, next time, choose peace over pain. Truth over comfort. Yourself over someone else's chaos. The pen hovered over the page as I continued. Do you remember how you waited for him to apologize, to see the error of his ways, to make it right? Do you remember how he begged, cried, and promised, and how you forgave him anyway? I wrote the words carefully, as if each stroke could exorcise the past. You were patient. Too patient. But you will not be patient with someone who doesn't deserve it again. I could hear the soft hum of traffic outside, each car a reminder that life moves forward whether you want it to or not. I took a deep breath. He infected everyone he touched with his chaos. But I survived. And now, I'm clean, inside and out. I set the pen down and looked at the page. The words were small, but heavy with truth. Heavy with freedom. A knock at my door startled me. It was Sophie, smiling, holding a bag of groceries. Hey, she said softly. I thought I'd check on you. See how the new place feels. It feels like home, I said, standing and meeting her gaze. And like me. She laughed quietly. You sound lighter. I admitted. It's strange. I thought I would carry this weight forever, but it seems some things can finally stay behind. Like him? She asked. I nodded. Exactly like him. Like the fear, the heartbreak, the nights I thought I would never heal. Sophie set the groceries down and sat beside me. So, what now? I smiled faintly. Now, I live. I love myself. I trust carefully. I don't rush, I don't beg, and I don't forgive those who don't deserve it. And one day, maybe I'll let someone in who matches my light instead of dimming it. She reached out, squeezing my hand. I think that's perfect. I used to think love was saving someone else, I said quietly, but now I know it's saving myself. Protecting myself. Choosing my own peace. Choosing me. Sophie's eyes softened. It suits you. We sat in silence for a while, letting the room breathe with us. I thought of the fire I'd lit with my old diary pages, of the coral walls I painted, of the steps I took alone in the rain. Each was a small victory, each a step away from the version of me that loved recklessly, that hoped blindly, that believed in someone else's redemption over my own worth. Finally, I picked up the pen again and wrote one last line to my younger self. You survived, Mia. And now, you are free. I closed the notebook gently, tracing the words with my fingers. Freedom felt heavy and light at the same time, the weight of the past lifting, the lightness of choice settling in. Sophie stood, smiling. Dinner? Yeah, I said, standing too, feeling taller than I had in months. Dinner. I glanced out the window one last time, watching the city breathe and shimmer in the twilight. The rain had stopped. The streets were clear. For the first time, I didn't think about what could have been, what was lost, or what had hurt me. I only thought about what I had gained, myself, intact, unbroken, and finally clean. I whispered to no one in particular, I survived him. I survived everything. And now, I get to live for me. And with that, I stepped away from the desk, leaving the notebook closed but heavy with truth, leaving the past where it belonged, and stepping fully into the life I had fought to reclaim.